Hey, we're Saints. Father Chris here. Welcome to our Crucifixion live stream. Glad to have you beautiful people with us. Today is an awesome day. We have a very special episode. I want to introduce you to someone who is doing exceptional work, Mr. Jason Catanese. Let me tell you a little bit about Jason before we get into the conversation. Jason is the Executive Director of Camp Catanese, which you'll hear more about in just a few moments. He is doing exceptional work to help young people who may have never ever even thought about going to college actually go to college. He's doing marvelous work. I'm super proud of him. This ministry we just wanted to share it with you. And so I welcome and introduce you to my friend, Jason Catanese. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so glad you came. Glad you have you with us.
I'm so excited to be here.
So, perhaps many of us already know you and what you're doing. It's exploding. But let's just assume for the conversation that we're introducing you to, new faces. Tell us about you. I mean, first, how about this? You're in Arizona. You're not from here. How'd you get here? What's that story?
Yeah, so I am a teacher, and I originally was not going to be a teacher. So I grew up in Pennsylvania, grew up in Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
Nice.
So a product of St. Mary's, Johnstown. And I went to college in Chicago, and whenever I was in college, my whole degree was in political science and international studies. And the summer before my senior year of college, I did an internship in D.C., thought I was going to go into politics because I thought that that's how you make a difference in the world. Yeah. And I realized that that was not where I needed to go on my path. And so whenever I got back to school, two of my best friends told me about a program called Teach for America. And I applied, I got in, and Teach for America put me here in Phoenix.
So what is that? Sorry, just to help, what is Teach for America?
So Teach for America is a program that's based off the Peace Corps, where you do 2 years teaching in the inner city. And so they place you all over the country. And my assignment was here in Phoenix.
Got it. And that was 2 years ago?
No. So I was supposed to do it for 2 years, and this is my 15th year teaching.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So in that experience, I mean, what was it like in the school? It's Pueblo, is that right?
Yeah, Pueblo del Sol. Whenever I first walked into that school, I saw that the kids were extremely brilliant, extremely passionate, but their circumstances might have been what was preventing them from that next level. And so I knew within the first day, the first week, the first month that it wasn't going to be something I was there for just my 2 years.
Yeah.
It was something where these kids were extremely special, and I wanted to play a small part in helping them to realize what they were capable of.
Yeah, I love that. Obviously, I love it. But as much as you are able and comfortable, what were some of the exigent circumstances that were prohibiting these kids?
Yeah, so I think one thing that I've reflected on over the last 15 years is that I really realized the privilege that I was given my whole life. Whenever I walked into that classroom, I realized the roof I had over my head. I realized the food I had. I realized a lot of things that I necessarily didn't always recognize. And I think one of the first things that really stood out to me that first year was that our school is the worst in terms of math for the whole district, and we really wanted to turn things around, and we were placing a large emphasis on math and English, because if our school didn't turn around that first year, it was going to get shut down by the state.
Really?
And it was really intense for the kids, because so much of their learning was now accredited to a test that was going to happen at the end of the year. So whenever I walked into my classroom the first day, I told them, we're going to be the best math class in the district by the end of this year if you work hard, if you put in all this effort. And the kids were they wanted to believe me, but they couldn't, because just everything around them told them that they couldn't.
Yeah.
And week after week, month after month, I saw kids come in at lunch. I saw kids stay after school. I saw kids come in on Saturdays. They were getting better and better and better. And there was a student that was getting really close to me because I was coaching him in soccer and football, and he sort of made me realize too, there's so many things that you don't see. And by March, we had accomplished our goal. We took a diagnostic test, and we had gotten the best scores in the district, which was awesome, because there was 12 different schools. All of a sudden, our kids were achieving higher than all of them,
Yeah.
and I could see this confidence building. And so I knew we needed to have a party for them.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have a party, but we weren't allowed to have any class time that was not devoted towards learning. And so I told the kids we're going to have a school supplies party, and it's going to be like very undercover. And I told them we're going to have chocolate covered highlighters, strawberry highlighters, glazed highlighters. The kids are catching on, and the kids are like, "You're going to put chocolate on highlighters?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "Think about it." And then another kid was like, "He's talking about donuts." And they're like, "Okay." And whenever I brought those in, class after class, the same thing kept happening. Half the kids were eating their highlighter and half the kids weren't. First period, second period, third period. And when I got to my last class, that kid that was like really, really near and dear to me, I watched him very particularly because he took his donut after everyone else had gotten theirs, and he was protecting it. He didn't want a single sprinkle to go missing. He didn't want a dent at all in his donut. And all the kids left at the end of the day. It was the last period of the day. They're all running out, and middle school hallways are crazy, so he waited. And I asked him, I said, because I was curious, all these kids work so hard. He worked extremely hard for that. Why he didn't eat it? And with a big smile on his face, he said, "Today's my sister's birthday, and we didn't have enough money to buy her a cake." And he just said, "Thank you, Mr. Cat." And he walked off with a huge smile on his face, knowing that he was going to give this to his sister. And without going too far into his circumstances, he definitely could have eaten that. He was definitely a kid that was hungry.
Yeah.
And so when you ask about the circumstances, I really started to realize there were so many things I couldn't see. There were kids that their only meals were coming from school. Yes. I saw, over the last 15 years, I've saw students of mine get killed. Yeah. I've seen students of mine go to prison. I've seen students of mine like become homeless. Yeah. And so this is something that I was not in that world because my parents were able to give me a life that I didn't have to worry about all these things.
Yeah. So, and thank God for that, because those beautiful people created you. What did that lead? So, with what you just told me, what did that? I mean, we're here really to talk about Camp Cat. What does it do to help that, and where did the idea come from, and where was it born? You know?
So I was very lucky to go to Antiochian Village my whole life, and I think I was always sort of a camp kid. I always told my mom that she didn't love me in the summer because she just sent me to like 7 or 8 different camps. But I went to every single camp imaginable. And so whenever it came time for here in Phoenix, I saw my first student in high school. There was a couple of students from that first group that had asked for some help, and they were asking for some tutoring help. They were juniors at the time for pre-calc. And whenever they asked for help, my friend Erica David, who also I knew from Antiochian Village, came to help because she's much better at math than I am. Yeah. And at the end of the session, they were both really embarrassed to ask a question. It was 2 young men, and I said, "You guys can ask me anything." And the question was, "Have you heard of the ACT?" And I said, "The ACT." I was like, "Yes, I've heard of it." And they were like, "We're taking it on Monday. Is it important?" And the more questions we asked them, the more we realized that these 2 young men that were on this path that we had gotten, sort of ahead in math and on the right path to college, still, if you don't have the right people guiding you, then it can become so impossible. And so Eric and I left, and because of Antiochian Village, because of all these Orthodox camps that we went to, what we knew that we could do, because God had given us all these great opportunities, was we could create that. And so our dream was to create a place where kids could come, regardless of the circumstances that they had, and they could really visualize themselves in college, but also, more than anything, have people that would really support them and love them no matter what. And so that's how Camp Cat was born 10 years ago.
10 years. Wow, 10 years. It's amazing to think it's been that long.
Yeah.
And yet it seems like it's longer. Yeah, So I asked you to come and be with us because I want you to talk about Camp Cat because, I mean, it inspired me. I mean, I remember so we were with you for graduation this last year, and I've been before. I was inspired before. I don't know what about this year. I was like moved to tears, and I'm a crotchety old jerk who doesn't have emotion. And I was like, it's so beautiful, and I wanted to throw that to you, let you know that. I mean, I know what my impressions are. Can you help the audience understand? I think the defining moment, or at least a defining moment for you in creating this, is, as you said, your experience at church camp. Mm-hmm. The question then is, what having used that as a model, what is Camp Cat doing for these kids? I mean, when they come there for this week, what's happening?
Yeah, so it really is sort of a realization that we've been given a lot in our life, and us being able to give back through that camp model. So in the morning, we have kids waking up, coming to breakfast, realizing that they're part of this big family. But then after breakfast, then they go to different classes and they realize, I could be this major, or I could be this career, or I could learn this skill. So the whole morning, just like you would at Antiochian Village or Camp St. Nicholas or Camp St. Raphael, is morning program, which is a curriculum, but it's based on providing kids opportunity and hope. And all these kids, so all the kids that we serve, they don't pay anything to come to our camp. Yeah. They are kids that qualify for free lunch at school. So this is something that they couldn't afford otherwise.
Right.
And so when you think about the opportunities that they're getting in the morning, a lot of it is stuff that is not provided at all in the schools that they're going to.
If I may, are these kids who would not have otherwise necessarily had college on their radar?
Yeah, so our first year of camp, we surveyed the kids before camp started because we wanted to see, more than anything, how many kids believed that they could go. Yeah. And it was only about 40% believed that they could go to college, and then about 10% of them were actually planning on going to college. Okay. By the end of our week of camp, we surveyed them again, and we saw that 100% of them believed that they could go to college. Where majority of our kids are coming from, the Maryville neighborhood of Phoenix, only 37% of kids go to college. Yeah. And right now, less than 15% of them are actually finishing college within 4 years. But over the last 10 years, we've actually looked at our data of the students that we've been serving. And thank God it's been 93% of our kids are going to college. 100% of them are doing something, whether it's a trade, the military, or college. But then over a span of 4 years, we see 70% of our kids graduating college within 4 years. Yeah. So these are high numbers in not just our neighborhood, but the whole state. Yeah. And so it's really something that you can't tell me that God's not behind this, because I really think that all these things are working with God's love.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And you can see in that data the efficacy of what you're doing, which is why it's why I love it. I love you, but my support of this is beyond even my love for you personally. It's the business. And
I think too, like, just to continue with the day, so like that's the morning. In the afternoon, we have sports and art and dance, and we have an Arabic cooking class that's led by people from our church, like Sandy Corey always comes, and I think that that's something that is just taken for granted, that we sometimes are like, oh yeah, sports, that's an everyday part of a teenager's life. But not if that kid has to babysit every single day to take care of his family. Not if that kid has to work. Not if that kid is worried about, other things. Yeah. And so that's so important for us that they get to be kids. Yeah. And then every night there's something great for evening program. I was evening program director at the Village for 2 years, so I'm a little biased. I love evening program, but my favorite evening program is the last night, which is graduation, where the kids stand up and kind of talk to the younger versions of themselves and say, you can do this too.
Yeah. I loved it. I mean, I'm telling you, this one was, they were all great, but this one, it got me. Yeah, it's amazing. So just to kind of finish the data, in the 10 years, how many kids have gone through Camp Catanese? Maybe, comparing year 1 to year 10.
For the last 10 years, we've worked with about 1,650 kids.
I mean, that's ridiculous in a beautiful way. I mean, it's 165 kids a year. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'm sure some more than that. Yeah. How many this last year?
This last year at summer camp, we had 404 kids. And this was our first year that it grew to multiple sessions of camp. Yeah.
So you didn't just do 1 week. You did 2 1-week sessions.
We did 2 1-week sessions, and then we did a third week that was an engineering week. Yeah. Greg got to drive the vans, so it was great.
You haven't run a racetrack.
You did drive around a racetrack. You are the racetrack. That's fun. You were speedy. I love it. I mean, obviously, all teasing aside, I mean,
but what's crazy about that too is that last year we had 232 kids. So this year 404, last year 232, and they sign up in person. So their families come. Yeah. It's like waiting in line for Disneyland, and 232 spots were filled in 6 hours. Yeah. And so we had 150 kids on a wait list. So this year we knew that we had to have at least, 150 more spots. And then 404 spots were filled within, it was crazy, 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
And another 150 kids on the wait list.
Yeah.
And so the best marketing that we have for this is that the families are talking to each other and saying, this is helping my son, this is helping my daughter. And so this can also help your family.
And then you have to get out. I mean, you and your team have to get out there and procure the funding to handle this. Yeah, God bless you guys. Yeah, it's. I mean, that's a monumental effort, I'm sure, in and of itself. In doing all this, I'm sure that you have come across a million challenges. I mean, is there any one or two that pop out that you could share with us? Like, this came and we got through it by doing X or Y or Z.
Yeah. So actually, the first year we didn't have a space, and I think it just goes to show you that you always got to ask questions. You always got to reach out to people. And we ended up reaching out to one of our first ever donors and supporters. And we asked him if he knew anyone at ASU. And he said, just send me an email. And within 24 hours, ASU had gotten back to us and said, we have dorms for you. We have food for you. Yeah. And, we were striking out before that, but we were trying to do it all ourselves. And I think it really taught us that, it's good to ask questions. It's good to reach out because especially I'm just a teacher trying to do good things in the world. Right. But using sort of this message of like together, this community, we can do this and really impact a whole group of kids, a whole group of families. A lot of people want to be a part of that.
Yeah, for sure. You could see it. I mean, I'm biased. I'm a man of faith, as are you. How has your faith guided or helped you on this whole journey, this process?
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be here without God, first and foremost. And I think that every single thing that we're doing is because we were given those things in our lives. Yeah. And so I've realized over the last, 10 years that God has really blessed my life. And it's a blessing to be able to do this work. Yeah. And I think this last year was actually a really, really, I think, cool example of God working through everything. We had 2 young men that applied from Little Falls, New Jersey to be counselors, and they both wanted to teach a CPR class. And we had 10 years, we've never taught a CPR class, but because they were really gung-ho about it, we said, sure, let's do it. And they taught the class, and about a month after summer camp, we got a phone call from a family that said that their son, Sebastian, had learned CPR at camp, and their dad went into cardiac arrest. And when he went into cardiac arrest at home, Sebastian realized that his older brother wasn't doing CPR right, and he jumped in, started doing CPR on his dad, and was able to keep his dad breathing. And whenever the paramedics got there, they took him to the hospital. The paramedics actually went back to the hospital, and they said, your son did such good CPR that's why your husband, your father, is alive today. Yeah. And so I was like, you can't tell me that all of this wasn't supposed to happen. And Sebastian was a kid that was on the wait list. Yeah. And so he wasn't even, if this was 2 years ago, he wouldn't have been able to get into camp. Right. But because we had more spots, because of the CPR class, you can't tell me that God wasn't planning that whole thing. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, it's amazing stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm biased because I'm a man of faith, but God's hand is in all of it.
Yeah.
However, we may want to understand that, but it's that's really all of the stories. All right, so having said that, let's get a little deeper into your personal thoughts and vision, your wisdom. Really, one thing I noticed is that you have a really a set of catchy and pithy phrases and chants that the kids, and I know what mnemonic devices, I get all that kind of stuff, but I think they also expose your philosophy to some degree. What is, if you can say this is the core philosophy of Camp Cat, what is that, or a few around it?
I think there'd be a few, but I think the first one that comes to mind is open hearts, because when you have an open heart, it opens up other people's hearts. And that's one of the phrases that, we'll say, and then the kids repeat it back, open hearts, for them to remember that it's more important in life to to greet people with kindness, greet people with love, and then also to greet yourself with love. We say take care of your mind, and your mind will take care of you, because your education is so important. Yeah. But if you really take care of this, you're gonna be able to do anything. It's not about the obligation; it's about the opportunity. And so, not viewing things as obligations. So many of us do that every single day. Oh, I have to do this versus I get to do this. Yeah. And so, I think when you kind of tie all those things together, then we're setting our kids up for, even if there's roadblocks. And I always think about, like, if something happened in my life, like, I'd have my mom, my dad to be able to kind of guide me through things and to get me to not give up. But so many of our kids, like, something might happen and they immediately might want to give up because there's just so many things in front of them that are stopping them from achieving their goals. And so it's really important that they have that belief that they can keep going, and it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. One of the nice parts of what I think you're doing at Camp Cat is that you're not providing the outcome necessarily, but you are working, and I know your fingers to the bone, to give these kids who might not have had an opportunity. Yeah. Rather than, gripe about, well, there's no opportunity, you're doing something about it and giving them that opportunity. And per your data that you just told us, 100% of them are doing something with it. It's huge. In that, there's got to be one or two success stories that stand out. You're like, yeah. Able to share any of that stuff?
Yeah, I think one of the ones that comes to mind is, and you heard him speak last year at Cal. He was a kid that, he lost his father whenever he was 6 years old. He lost his mom in 8th grade. His uncle took over custody of him and lost his uncle then as an 11th grader. And was really going through a tough time. Yeah. And I think we didn't even know the full extent of it until he sort of talked about it in his graduation speech. But he literally said that he was thinking of taking his own life. Yeah. And whenever he got a reminder about summer camp on Instagram and he started going through all his old pictures and, hearing from his old counselors, I think it made him realize that there's still a whole life worth living. Mm-hmm. And he's a freshman, in college right now. And he always says that, he attributes a lot of this to the people that have helped him to get where he is. Yeah. And the cool thing is that he wants to be a teacher. Yeah. And so he wants to help other kids that were homeless, other kids that had these really traumatic circumstances.
Yeah. That his graduation speech was really impactful.
Yeah.
I was moved. I really was moved to, as I said, to tears, and I'm not like that kind of a person at all. It was a beautiful story, and I loved how I'm always griping against cell phones, but then when I heard that story, I'm like, darn it, hooray Instagram, Yeah. No, but I'm glad that he was able to find it, that that you were there, and that he found it.
But I think it also speaks to the importance of these counselors. Yeah. We have so many counselors that come in from all of the Orthodox camps from around the country or other camps from around the country. And it's a really beautiful thing, I think, for them. Yeah. Because in a lot of ways, I think that they get more out of it than even the kids do. And I know the kids get so much out of it, but they're learning a lot.
Let me tell you, my oldest, as you know, was one of your counselors and has worked with you, my oldest daughter. And I want to wring her neck. But let me tell you, she spent this last semester in Paris. She studied abroad. We went over there, we hung out with her for a week, we brought her back, we were here for Christmas, then she jumped on a plane and went to the East Coast to hang out with friends for New Year's Eve, flew back here, she's here for 5 days, and now she's going back to college. And in a week and a half, she's coming back here for winter camp for Camp Cat. And I'm like, what the heck are you doing? The kids can't even see straight, she's so tired. But you know what she said to me? She's like, I want to see my girls. You know what I mean? She's like so excited about her students. This kid literally has been all over the world. Her body is crumbling because she doesn't sleep and she's always on a plane. And yet she's going to sacrifice more of it to come back. So, it's what those kids, meaning the staff, are doing is, it's truly selfless. Mm-hmm. They're doing it on their own dimes, many of them, I know. And, which is great to see. But I also love that they are open enough to say, I'm not just here to, pad my resume or to check a box, but that I'm actually, even selfishly in some sense, gaining from these kids, learning from these kids, able to see where you might not have ever looked before to find a pearl.
Right.
I love it. I mean, that's why when she said I want to go do it, I'm like, go.
And she had a cabin of juniors last year.
Yeah.
They're now seniors, and they're finding out where they're getting into colleges. And she has girls from her cabin that got into Northwestern and U Chicago and NYU and University of Pennsylvania, and it's Yale.
Yeah.
It's incredible, and it just goes to show you that when you have people that believe in you, then it doesn't even matter what belief you have in yourself. It starts to make you want to believe in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. It's inspirational, absolutely. Encouraging. Yeah. I mean, all of the things. So let's kind of shift a little bit here.
Okay.
If I were to say, Jason, this person wants to start a nonprofit or some kind of big project, what are some insights you might give them? I mean, because this is now, Camp Cat is enormous. How many on your staff?
This summer we had about 106 people total.
Okay, so I mean, it's not like 3 guys.
Yeah.
It's a real,
And then our year-round team, we have 9. So,
So I mean, that's a real organ. So with that kind of as the backdrop, I say that not to boast, but to say that you clearly, it's not just you and your buddy. Mm-hmm. What kind of insights do you give to someone who wants to start something big like this, who's set 10x goals, but may not see the path, or maybe afraid to walk that path, the unknown, to get to somewhere where you are?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing I would say is what's stopping you is you have to be the one that makes that first step. No one else is. And I think that that's something that this whole organization also sort of allows our students to see, that if I've been able to, accomplish my dream, and I always tell them my dream is that they achieve their dreams. Like, they are my dream. And so if I'm able to accomplish this with the support of so many other people, then you can all do it with the support of so many other people, but you have to be able to ask questions. You have to be able to ask for help, and you have to be able to walk into a room and say, this is going to happen, and allow people to be a part of it, because people are going to want to help you. You just have to let them know.
All right, so talk more about that, if you don't mind, because I was thinking about my next leading question was, probably a lot of what prohibits someone from stepping out and doing it is, the hesitation comes, it's really born out of fear.
Yeah.
Well, and you just, before I even got to ask the question, you were able to address it. So then, with that being said, how do you said it like more eloquently than I can repeat, but to be looking for people because people want to help you, and it's almost like, in some sense, people are chomping at the bits to contribute to good work, to real good work, not something that is fluffy good work. How would you encourage or train someone who's starting a project like this to grab that mental attitude and approach?
I think first and foremost, this is the essence of our faith, and it's the essence of Christianity, is that we're not meant to do things alone. We're not meant to do things that are self-serving. Yeah. We're meant to do things to serve others. Yeah. And so it's important that you realize that. So when you're doing something, when you're trying to start something, when you want to do some good, you're not meant to do it just for yourself. You're meant to do it for others. And other people are going to want to help. Yeah. But I think there's a lot of people that, like you said, they might be afraid. They might be not able to sort of have that vision. But if someone else says, hey, can you help me do this? I know you have this gift. It's important to realize that every one of us has different gifts. I myself am not the lawyer of the family. My brother is. I myself am not the accountant of the family. My dad is. And so when I wanted to start this, they were 2 of the first people I reached out to, because of the fact that my dad knew how to do all the tax parts of a nonprofit. My brother helped with all the legal parts of a nonprofit. But it's just important to realize that, we're not meant to do things by ourselves.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, we are, human beings. We always hear we're relational beings. Do you think that there is is part of I wonder about this one, that why more people don't think about it, because we are just inundated in the world around us with what we consume that is so supremely self-focused, right?
Yeah.
Like Deacon Greg and I, in almost every one of our teachings, we make fun of Burger King. You rule. Or, the casino that's here in Arizona, you do you, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's everywhere. Is that kind of, I don't want to be like bashing the world, but I'm just saying, is that kind of stuff clouding people's belief in themselves, or are they even thinking about it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I love working with young people, is because they're very moldable and they're very much so in this mindset of, okay, I am getting all this information from Instagram or from TikTok that's telling me to focus on myself. But also, if they get messages from us that say focus on others, then we might be able to win out. But I think that sometimes the older you get, you sort of get stuck in your ways and routines. Yeah. And those routines can be hard to break. Yeah. But you can do it. Yeah. You just have to be willing to put, I guess, mind over matter and kind of realize it's going to be hard, but, yeah. If it's hard, it's probably something that's worth it.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I have a chapter in my book that basically says if it's easy, it's wrong, because really doing the hard things, I think that's what we called it, do the hard things, whatever the title of it was. Because that's where, the meat and bones. All right. What's sorry, anything else on that?
No, I was just going to say, I think, too, it is important to not just say, like, I'm going to do this, but also have a plan and get other people immediately excited on board with it. And so when we wanted to start this, Erica was the first person that was on board. And then we called my friend Denise. And then we called my friend Joanna. And then we called my friend Nick. And then, we called my friend Eli. And all of a sudden we had 30 people. They didn't even know what it was that we were going to do. But because they could feel like it was something important, they wanted to be a part of it. Yeah. And I remember we didn't really have a huge plan. Like we didn't have supplies. We were like just trying our best to do things. Greg actually helped us to build some ropes course, or actually no, the angle ball pulls, and like literally like we were asking other people that we knew could help in different ways. And I think that was the coolest part about building momentum. Yeah. Was that the more people we said things to, the more people that wanted to help. Even when we do our camp here, we come to our church, and our parishioners want to help feed all the staff because they realize they're coming in from all over the country. Yeah. But they get excited for that, and they really want to help. Yeah.
So my next question was tell us one principle that you have, that you've followed that anyone listening can apply. Let's just skip the question, and I'm going to ask specifically. Let's call this what you're talking about, the asking others for help. How can someone apply that as a principle? Let's say that, sorry, let me be clear. That's a principle that you have adhered to from day one. Yeah. How do you help others grab that principle and apply it in their own work?
I think it's really important that when someone comes to you for help, your immediate response is not a negative, but a positive. And so because we are all going to need to ask for help, and I mean, perfect example, parishioners come to you to ask for help all the time, right? And so when they get guidance, when they get support, people then start to believe that they can. And so if someone comes to you for confession and you're like, okay, you can do this, then they start to believe that they can. They can get on the right path. But if a priest says the opposite, then they're not going to believe that they can, right? Yeah. It's the same principle of if someone comes to me and they say, I want to do this, I immediately want to be a person that says, yes, like, let's do it. How can I help you? But also because I know that other people have done that for me, but I also wasn't afraid to ask questions. The older I got, I was afraid at first until I realized this is actually something that a lot of people want to do. They just are waiting for the question.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And you said, you used, sorry for talking about myself as an example, but I can notice it in my own ministry that I have tried my best to do that and give to my people. And I always hate to ask people for things because, I'm here to serve them. But I've noticed that when I do, they're like chomping at the bits. Yeah. And it's not just reciprocity, but it's that, I mean, I'm sure that's part of it, but it's also that I think people's hearts want to serve. And sometimes we just need a very specific, clear request. right? Like, I hate it when someone says, if someone's having a difficult time in life, and I tell them, if you need anything, let me know. That doesn't mean anything, right? What does that even mean if you need anything? Like, but if I can say something specific, Jason, at Camp Cat, you're going to do summer camp. Can I build you angle ball poles? That's clear, and you know what I mean. So like that kind of clarity when requested like that seems to be a lot more received a lot better.
Right.
Yeah. So what? So with all of that being said,
and another example too, I think you were one of the first people we reached out to for help with even designing kind of a structure for a camp, like the handbook and things like that. And so, that's not something I had experience with,
Yeah.
but when you reach out to people that have experience in those things,
Yeah.
then they also feel like they're also able to be a part of it and give back.
yeah, for sure. To this point, I learned in a great book I read. It's called 10x is easier than 2x. I think that's what the title is. But he talks about in one chapter about who, not how. And so rather than say, how am I going to do this? You say, who's going to do it?
Yeah.
So in this case, like, how am I going to build this handbook? Well, you know what? Deacon Greg is really good at it. I'll ask him. And he enjoys that kind of work. I'm assuming he does, but he does. But I mean, my point is like, now you found the right person to do this work and they get the joy of it as well. It's a beautiful thing. Really, it's a great concept. One of the things too, like listening to this, your willingness to always say yes. How do you keep your day on line? Give us some practicals. So I'm going to tell everyone this story. And, a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, you came over to our home for dinner. My girls are away at college, and Jason came to the house to have dinner with my bride and I. And you showed up late. And the apology was, I'm so sorry I'm late, but this kid in school their ride didn't come. And so I stayed with them to make sure that they got taken care of. And for me, I don't deal with late, but that I'll deal with all day. You know what I mean? Because that's in service of another person. I also know of stories where the kids were telling us that, you went to their soccer game or their concert and at the, there's too many. We feel it. We're overwhelmed in our growing parish. How do you do it? How do you manage your day?
Yeah. Time management is something that I'm working on, but I think one thing I've learned is it's important to show up. It's important to, I think something that, I think in a sermon that you said many years ago, but you are where you stand. And so you can say you do things, but where your feet are is really what matters. And I really take that principle to heart, because I could tell a kid, like you said, like I'll be there for you, like whatever you need. But if they have a graduation and, they need someone to be there for it. I was just at ASU's graduation and the Grand Canyon University graduations. And a lot of those were students I had in 7th grade, 8th grade. But they wanted to make sure that they knew that I was part of their family too. And so because of that, that's important for me to be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that kind of prioritizing what's important and prioritizing, which I'm not always the best at, but realizing too that every day is a chance to give something to others.
Yeah. Must have been a lot of sacrifice of your own to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And as we say in the academy all the time, life is about being crucifixional, which is the sacrifice of self for the sake of other. That's all we're emulating Jesus Christ in that. So it's to that, to that point, forgive me, but you're doing a fabulous job. I don't know how you do all that you do. So
well, to go back to, I was supposed to do this for 2 years. And then when my mom came to my classroom, she wanted me to come back home to Pennsylvania. But when she came to my classroom and saw how happy the kids were and how happy I was, she said, "You're meant to be here."
Yeah.
And I remember whenever I got into Teach for America, my mom asked me, she said, "Why do you want to do this?" And I said, "It's going to be the most important thing I ever do."
Yeah.
And I really believe that.
Yeah, I do too. I really do too.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add on this, in this vein, about philosophy or strategy, any of that kind of insight before we shift?
I think just when you're thinking about who you're helping and people that need support, because there's always people that need support, I think that if students come to us from like really strong, healthy, functioning families, then it makes our job easier. But if they don't come to us from those really healthy, strong, functioning families, it makes our job more important. And we have a lot of students that are coming to us where they don't have those basic necessities. But if we can help with those basic necessities, so every single time a kid comes to one of our programs, we're giving them pillows and blankets and towels, particularly because the first year of camp, all my friends from Antiochian Village, how it works at AV is, the counselors are all of a sudden, taking your luggage to the cabins. And when our kids were showing up, they're like, where's all their luggage? They're showing up with trash bags and Walmart bags. And I said, if you really want to know, ask them. But whatever they say is going to really impact how you view the world. And a lot of the kids, they were kind of shocked that the counselors were asking them, because they said, well, I have a pillow or I have a blanket. And then the other kids were like, well, I can share my blanket with you. And they're pushing beds together. And a lot of kids were saying, well, at home I sleep on the floor, at home I sleep on the couch, or my family has one bed and we all sleep in it. So why would I take the pillows and blankets? Like, they were more concerned about their family members. And so when my friends started to hear those things, I think they realized that it makes our job more important.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Yeah. I like how you said that too. It's easier. And then you would assume that when they're coming from well-adjusted families, and you would assume, therefore, the converse is true, that when they come from or families that are not as well-adjusted, that it would be harder.
Yeah.
But you didn't say that. You said it's more important. But that, I think, even that look, that approach that you have exposes what you're doing, because you're not looking at it as good or bad or evil. It's more important. So with that, let's shift. If someone out there listening is wanting to do something big in their life, you said a minute ago that you told your mom what you're doing is the most important thing you will ever do in your life. Let's say someone's ready to embark on that in their own lives. What do you say?
I say you have to be the first person to take the first step. And kind of like what I said before, and, very badly quoting one of your old sermons, but you are where you stand, And if you say you want to do something, there's a difference between words and actions. Yeah. You got to do it.
Yeah, for sure. It really does me great honor to hear, repeat something that I said, so I appreciate it. But what the point I was making when I said that is, I know where, people say, like, Jesus is in my heart. Well, I know where your heart is by where I see you stand. Right. So, like, if I see you standing in a place at ASU, serving kids who are underprivileged, getting them into college, teaching life lessons, impacting the lives of your staff, I know where your heart is. But if you say to me, I love these kids and I want to help them get to college, but you're off running around at the casinos or whatever, you know what I mean? So right. It is the action. It is, your heart is in your feet. Right? In other words, it's not here. This is a muscle that pumps blood. Your heart is not here. Your heart's in your feet. Right. So, anyways, you said it.
But if you want to start a new diet and workout routine, right? Words are saying it, but then your feet actually going to the gym, or your feet actually preparing the meals that are going to help you along the way, like, that's going to be the difference. Yeah. And so it really is important, the action.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's what gets it done. I know. We all know it. And I think it also helps establish a purpose. That when we have it's so important that people have purpose in life. I see a lot of young people, young men and women, and older men and women who feel a lack of their sense of purpose. And there's an element of being lost in that. And so chasing that purpose is so important. And waiting, here's my thing, it's waiting for inspiration. We need to be inspired and motivated, but if we wait, it'll never really come. I notice that once you get into action, the inspiration follows. Rarely do I go outside on my run and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go. But by the time I get a third of the mile into the first mile, the blood's flowing and I'm like, let's go, baby. Now the motivation has come. So I found that the action produces and ultimately leads us to the purpose. So with that being said, what's the greatest reward you have seen in your own life or elsewhere in you chasing your purpose?
That's a good question. I think seeing students find their purpose, I think that has been the greatest reward. I've seen students of mine become teachers, which I think is really cool. But more importantly, I see students that are taking care of their families. wanting to give back to the people that gave them so much. And so getting to see that has been really, really a blessing and really purposeful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. All right. As we get closer to the end, I'm going to tell you in a few moments just one of the very small things that the Warrior Saints Academy is going to do, whatever little we can. But before that, I'm sure that anyone with a heart out there listening to this is moved, as we all have been with Camp Cat. How can they connect? I mean, is there a way that we can help or support? I think we're going to throw all your socials and we'll have all that stuff on the screen and in the descriptions. But is there anything else, like, if how can we help?
Yeah. Well, first off, I think our website has a place where you can reach out to kind of even say, hey, like, this is what I can provide. This is what and we actually have had a lot of people kind of reach out in different ways with different things they're good at. So I think that has really helped us. But more than anything, just going to our Instagram, our website, kind of learning about the kids, learning about what we do, and seeing if there's ways that you want to get involved, whether it's giving of talents or giving of time or giving of, like, even money if you don't even live close.
Yeah. Well, we will. I mean, it's gonna. Like I said, we're gonna keep plugging it. I would hope that we would even. I have to negotiate this with my production team, but I would hope that we would run this interview multiple times, just out there, because I'm clearly biased, not just because I love you as my friend, but because I love what you are doing, and it's so, like, seeing it, all these years, it's amazing. And so I did want to tell you this. And I'm saying it publicly we've been talking internally as a team, and we've decided, and I want you guys to hear this because you will have a part to play in this, that anyone who is listening and subscribes to the Academy, in other words, begins to study Scripture and work on a 6-part battle plan with us, we are going to take at least, we're still negotiating, but we decided at least 10% of all of those proceeds, and we're going to give them as our gift to Camp Cat with the specific hope of sending a kid to college. In other words, giving a scholarship, basically. So, and our hope was that if our Warrior Saints out there are ready to go and start subscribing, I said 1 kid or 100. I mean, whatever, as much as we can, we want to give. And look, if it's a lot or a little, it's coming from us because we believe in what you're doing, and it's just a way to say thank you. Thank you for doing it all.
That means so much, because these kids, like, even more than anything, it's more so that there's a group of people that believe in them.
Yeah.
And so, thank God.
I would say this. I'm going to ask you this last question. And what's one message you would throw out to the Warrior Saints? But before you do that, I want to inject my thought. And I think that probably the most powerful thing that I've gleaned from you in this conversation is that it really is important to you to make sure that others know that someone believes in them. And the more, I guess I've known that. I mean, I know it, and I believe in my people. I try to encourage all of it, and I've seen it in action at Camp Cat. But somehow, the way you said it today, it became more, I don't know, maybe I internalized it in a more palpable way today. But I want to say to you beautiful people, I mean, like, that idea of helping others know that someone trusts that they can do it and believes in them and is going to encourage and all the rest, that's huge. So anyways, that's my takeaway. Is there anything you want to give as a final takeaway?
I just think that what I've learned over the last 10 years is that there's so many things that we don't see. And it's so important to show kids and show people, show our friends, our family, strangers, how much they are seen, they are heard, they are loved. And that's an easy thing to do every single day. Yeah. Don't just walk past someone. Make sure that you take time to make them feel loved and encouraged.
Yeah, I love it. Your open hearts, open hearts.
Open hearts, open hearts.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. So, beautiful people, a couple of things as we conclude. I'm going to give you the website here in just a moment for Camp Catanese. But if you are ready in 2026 to crush your goals, and I'm talking about physical health, about fitness, about financial well-being, your relationships, ultimately your understanding of God's word and his commandments that you can live in your life, and the purpose that you have, you may not even be aware of it yet, but if you're looking to crush your goals in 2026, visit our website. Go to warriorsaints.org. It's right there. You can see it. And subscribe for the 6-part battle plan. It's really it's our best effort in life thus far to help us on the way so that we might become, strong, powerful leaders like Jason. I mean, we brought him here to help expose it, but also for you to see someone who's doing the business out there as an inspiration. So let us help. Grab it, get it, do it. All right, love you. We'll be back on Sunday for Orthodox and Liturgy at 9 and 10 as usual, and we'll be back with more live streams. But I'm going to end with this. And Deacon Greg, it may already be up. If it is, forgive me, but campcatanese.com, campcatanese.com. And it's the same Camp Catanese and Instagram, their handle. So check it out. Support them. If you want, you can help with the Warrior Saints Academy. We are supporting them. So anything that anytime you subscribe, it's already going right to them. Love you. Thank you. We'll do this again. God bless you guys. Have a great weekend. And as always, keep walking on the way of the Warrior Saint.